attacks
on
the Muslim people, though?
That's it. People who've died and who've been killed were Jewish people in synagogues. Let's stop pretending that something else is happening.
But this isn't about...
No, it is. It very much is. It very much is. It very much is about Jewish people. And you can say all that you like, but this is how the 1930s started, with people pretending not to see what was happening in front of them. I am not blind. I can see. No. I'm telling people the truth, and they will always know that I stand behind Jewish people and I stand for them. I'm sorry, but I disagree with you. You just have to accept that. Yes, that's too bad. That's too bad. People know where I stand, and I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not pandering to the far right. What I am doing is supporting. No. What I'm doing is supporting Jewish people from the sort of ignorance people like you put out there, and I will never be intimidated by it.
The woman in this video is Kemi Badenoch. She was born in the UK to Nigerian parents, spent part of her childhood in Nigeria before returning to Britain. She's currently one of the most prominent politicians in the United Kingdom and leads the opposition Conservative Party. She's often defending Jews or Israel, and it's important to understand her political position. Kemi has repeatedly argued that anti-Semitism, that's hatred for Jews, has increased in parts of Britain and that Jewish community deserve stronger protection. She is also known for being strong pro-Israel and has publicly supported closer UK-Israel relationship. Now, the clip which is here actually happened when there was an alleged anti-Semitic stabbing incident in London. Politicians said, such as Kemi, often use incidents and events like this to argue that anti-Semitism should be taken more seriously and that Jewish community face growing security concerns. Anyway, whether one agrees or disagrees with her position depends on their political views. Supporters, of course, say she's defending a minority community from hate crimes, while the critics will always argue she is sometimes too supportive of Israeli government policies and not sufficiently critical of Israel's action in the Middle East. So, let's talk about Kemi, and this is what you need to know about her. She's a Nigerian-born British politician who finds herself at the center of one of the most heated debates in modern politics. Now, Kemi Badenoch repeatedly speaks out in defense of Jewish communities and Israel. Is simply a political strategy or a matter of principle, or is it something much deeper? Let's talk about it. The answer will surprise you. All right. The video here that you just watched has been circulating online, showing British Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch being confronted by a pro-Palestinian activist following reports of an anti-Semitic attack in London. The exchange quickly sparked debate across social media. Some praised Badenoch for standing up against anti-Semitism, while others accused her of focusing too much on Jewish concerns and not enough on Palestinian suffering. But before we can understand the controversy, we first need to understand who is Kemi and what shaped her political view. Let's look at her journey. She was born in London to Nigerian parents, spent much of her childhood in Lagos, Nigeria. Growing up, she experienced different cultures and political systems before eventually returning to the United Kingdom as a teenager. She later built a successful career in technology and finance before entering politics. Over the years, she gained a reputation as a politician who speaks her mind even when her views are unpopular. Today, she leads Britain's Conservative Party and serves as one of the country's most influential political figures. And why is she so vocal about anti-Semitism? To understand this, we must look at what has happened in Britain over the past several years. Since the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, tensions have risen sharply across Europe. Governments have reported increased incidents targeting both Jewish and Muslim communities. Many Jewish organizations in Britain have expressed concerns about growing anti-Semitism. Badenoch had consistently argued that political leaders must take these concerns seriously. She believes that anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem, but a threat to British society as a whole. Her support for Israel will shock you. Another reason Badenoch attracts attention is her strong support for Israel. She often describes Israel as a democratic ally facing security threats from hostile groups and neighboring enemies. She has criticized politicians who she believes are unfairly singling out Israel while ignoring the action of groups such as Hamas. For example, Israel will not just wake up and be bombing Beirut, Lebanon, and what's it called, Iran, if there is nothing or if there is no aim towards it. Understand? What happens is that the Hezbollah would want to just go stay in the midst of people or literally have their bunkers underneath houses where civilians are living, hospitals, schools, and markets. And then when, of course, Israel will want to exterminate an enemy from the root, and they will now go to the extent of maybe trying to get that particular terrorist, and then the whole place is wiped out. And then it's not going to be said that Israel is not being considerate when it's trying to in the war with Israel, that they are all literally bombing everywhere. But the truth is that they are actually living in a threat zone, and they are always trying to seek out their peace by literally fighting. Like I will always say, Israel's peace come from the fact that they had to fight all the time to be able to ensure they live and sleep in peace. Though remember, the Bible says he will give his beloved sleep. And then this sleep we're talking about here comes from the fact that they literally have to fight all the time because they're surrounded by enemies all around, and they cannot just afford to sleep with their two eyes closed, else they will be wiped out. So, like you all know, if you are Jewish and you are in Israel, one of the training you're going to have for your defense is that you must go through the IDF, that is Israel Defense Force, where you're trained to war, your hands to war and your fingers to fight. You've got to learn defense mechanism on how to protect yourself, because they see it as a survival skill and the fact that they are always living in threat, right? So that is one of the things you have to know. And then it brings a lot of hatred amongst people. Like, they're such a tiny nation, and literally a lot of Arab nations don't really want to see them leave. But that's by the way. Let's continue. Come back to the class. To the video. Supporters view this as a moral clarity. Critics say it is one-sided. This disagreement lies at the heart of many political arguments involving Bednock. The viral confrontation. Now, the confrontation shown in the video occurred during a period of heightened tension following reports of anti-Semitic violence. Activists question whether politicians were giving equal attention to Palestinian suffering. The truth is that if you look at any country that is literally fighting war, you would literally see a Christian just wake up to start fighting. It's always those Muslims that will have the idea of jihad, the extremists, and they want to take over, and they'll always do it by force, right? And that is why she gave that answer, right? Activists question whether they're giving the same attention to Palestinians who are suffering. Because when you go strike, when you go look for trouble, it's not the elephants that suffer, it's now the grasses that suffer. That's why the civilian Palestinians will now end up suffering the brunt of what they have done. So Bednock responded by emphasizing concerns about anti-Semitism and the safety of Jewish communities. The exchange reflected a broader debate taking place between or across Britain and many Western countries. One side argues that anti-Semitism is increasing and requires stronger attention. The other argues that political leaders should pay equal attention to Palestinian civilians affected by the conflict. Now, why is this debate so emotional? The Israel-Palestinian conflict is one of the world's most emotional and controversial issues in the world today. Every statement made by politicians is scrutinized, every word is analyzed, and for supporters of Israel, Bednock is standing up for a community facing hatred and intimidation. For the critics, she's perceived as being insufficiently critical of Israel policies. As a result, almost everything she says on the issue generates headlines. Now let's look at political calculations. Some observers believe Bednock's position is also politically strategic. The Conservative Party has historically maintained strong ties with pro-Israel groups. Taking a firm stance against anti-Semitism appeals to many conservative voters. At the same time, it distinguishes about what her critics say. Critics argue that she often focuses more on defending Israel than acknowledging Palestinian grievances. Some believe her rhetoric risks deepening or deepens division. Others say politicians should adopt a more balanced approach, because if you look at it critically, she's basically pro-Israel and anti-Palestinian. And all she's saying is that it is not about the Palestinian, it is about the Jews, and a lot of them have been killed, right? So the bigger picture, regardless of where one stands politically, the controversy surrounding Kemi Badosh reveals something very important. Modern politics is no longer confined to national borders. Conflict thousands of miles away, Middle East, Asia continent can shape debates in London, Washington, Lagos, and beyond. The conversation is no longer only about Israel or Palestinian. It's also about identity, security, immigration, multiculturalism, free speech, and national values. So, why is Kemi Badosh defending Jews so strongly? According to her supporters, according to her, she is standing against anti-Semitism and protecting a vulnerable community, especially in London, the United Kingdom. According to her critics, she's too closely aligned to Israel and not sufficiently balanced. Whatever your opinion is, one thing is common and one thing is clear. Kemi Badenoch had become one of the most influential and controversial voices in British politics today. Well, what do you think? Is she taking a principled stand, or is there more to the story? Let me know your thoughts in the comment. Don't forget to like this video, turn on notifications, and subscribe to this political video for in-depth analysis. Thank you for watching. I will see you again in my next one. Bye.